I would like to thank one of my Twitter followers, Nashon, for sending me this story. I said this must have been pretty important because I don't think he's ever asked me about sending me a story before. And I guess he really wanted me to talk about this story. So I was like, you know what? He went through the trouble to give me this story. Let me look into it. And my goodness, this story right here is a doozy. Now, you notice that there's a lot of women who throw around the sexist and misogynistic term a lot, and a lot of times it falls on deaf ears because they just throw it around just to throw it around. Now, this right here, if they was to call this man misogynistic and sexist, then I would actually back them up on that. But just this one time. Because this guy actually defines those two terms to a T. This man's name is Nicholas D'Agostino. And this guy literally is upset that there are women who are driving on the road. He basically said in a statement that they need to stay home and make babies. But that's not the only thing that he said or did. Well, should I say he said, but he did something else. It said that this man was arrested again, meaning that he's done this multiple times, for shooting at female drivers simply because they were driving. Like, that is some wild shit. I never heard of something like this before in my life. But then again, I always say, when it comes to a lot of these white males, they will shoot at anything or try to kill anything or kill something just because the day ends with the letter Y. So let's get into this story. A man in Texas, not surprising it came from Texas, has been arrested a second time for shooting female drivers because he doesn't believe women should be allowed to get behind the wheel. Authorities say the man has a dim view of the opposite sex. You know what? I always thought that if a man had this much disdain for a woman, he might actually have a bit of sugar in his tank. I mean, I don't think I would be wrong in that assessment. It says Nicholas Agostino was initially arrested for shooting a mother as she drove to a car wash in Katy, Texas on July 10th. The bullet went straight through her arm, lodging just millimeters from her heart. The 29-year-old claimed the shooting was in self-defense, saying the woman swerved into his lane twice and was trying to commit vehicular manslaughter. And that goes back to that statement I made before about white people having the most severe road rage possible. Like, if you are on the road driving, try your best not to try to cut off a white person while they're on the road, because they will follow you all the way to where you are, pull out their gun and shoot at you. But in this case, this guy shot at her while they were driving. D'Agostino posted a $75,000 bond last week. He must got some money if he can post that kind of a bond. He was freed for just 48 hours before he was re-arrested for an incident that occurred in March, in which he reportedly shot a woman while leaving a Shell gas station in the same city. Authorities say D'Agostino confessed to the July shooting and 5 similar shootings while he was behind the bars the first time. Hold on. So you mean to tell me this guy has committed this act 6 times and you let him go all 6 times? Or all 5 times? I don't know if they're going to do it the 6th time. Why the hell did they even give his ass a bond? I don't even know why I asked that question. I already know the answer. Duh, he's white. And this is Texas we're talking about. And this in Texas, as I call it, the NRA's favorite state, is an open carry state. So technically, as long as he legally has that gun, he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. Oh, but look at this. It says he is now locked up on 2 bonds totaling $400,000 and faces 2 counts of aggravated assault. He needs to get attempted murder. Investigators asked for the bond to be significantly higher this time around, saying in court records that he presents a continuing threat to the community and in particular to female motorists in Katy. Investigators who examined D'Agostino's Facebook page said he rants and rambles on about female motorists and how incompetent they are and that their sole purpose is to give birth to male children. Now this sounds like somebody who's a part of MGTOW. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. D'Agostino is due to face a judge over the charges in September, with defense attorney Kim Mingledorf calling the new charges a shock. The family is just as sorry as they can be. They're wonderful people and they're very, very sorry for any problems or pain this has caused anyone, he told ABC 13. This man is not sorry. He did this act 6 goddamn times. He's not sorry. And I'm almost certain that the families are not accepting his so-called apology. This story was a doozy right here. I can see why, Nashawn, you wanted me to talk about this. Like, this is crazy. And all the last couple of years that I have done a story on road rage, this one was very interesting because this guy actually had targets, and they were women motorists. Now, like I said, this right here is the definition of a sexist or a misogynistic man. You can't throw out the word sexist and misogynist if a man is telling a woman about herself in a way that she doesn't like being told about herself, basically in the terms of being criticized. This right here, though, is misogynistic. I can say that with a straight face. This is sexist. This is misogyny. All that extra stuff, that's just constructive criticism as far as I can tell. But this guy took his misogyny and sexism to a whole nother level. Like, he's out here trying to kill women on the road just because they're female drivers, and he said they need to be at home giving birth to male children. That is that throwback thinking of the typical white male from way back in the day. So we see what kind of level of mindset he has. It almost tells me how he was raised in the household. He might have been raised by a single dad, or he been raised in a two-parent household where his dad he could have been abusive. Based on how this guy is and how he acting, he's probably hit on a few women in his lifetime. I'm almost certain of it, because if he's going to shoot at them just for driving, I'm almost certain he would hit on them in the house just because they exist. Y'all let me know what you think about this story down in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be down below. I'll talk to you in the next one.